we're in the presence of some very clever gentlemen that went to America and saw that everyone in their best room in the house has a nice hardwood floor. And probably the most available bamboo product in the world is the bamboo floor. And we took a look at it, and it's a bit of a nasty business. So we went right back to the beginning of time, and this is a young Balinese woman, and she's making bamboo planks. And it really is the beginning of time, because in the beginning of time, before we had all those fancy petrochemicals and 9,000 kinds of glue, we just pegged things together. And these planks do have a little glue on the pegs, but they're primarily glue-free. And we call this line Bamboo Pure. And the young women that make it are young Balinese women from the village. And they hammer it together with pipes. It becomes planking, and then it becomes flooring. It becomes furniture. And it becomes another material which is just getting confused in the bamboo factory. I had a wonderful young student from RISD, School of Design in Rhode Island. And he looked at this bamboo that had been sawn end to end. And he said, "That was my idea." And I said, "Oh, okay." But when he went to the shop in RISD, the master that ran the machine shop wouldn't allow him to cut the bamboo end to end. So his idea never materialized. We have a lot of fun with bamboo. There's such incredible possibilities. This is you can see from the man standing behind this is a very big skylight that's going on one of the buildings you're going to see. So some basic ideas. I was always totally amazed when I went to Japan and saw the temples, the Zen Shinto temples, standing proudly on the stones. So we took that idea and we drilled the stones. We actually do use foundations and we do use concrete, and our engineers try to make them as big as possible, and we try to make them smaller so that rebar comes up through the concrete, pierces the stone, and the bamboo are drilled, and they're placed on the stone. Sometimes many of them get together on a stone. And then a small hole is made in the bamboo. And we pour concrete in the hole. And traditionally, I would have thought that the best thing to do with a bamboo would be to stick it in a big block of concrete. It turns out that when a bamboo is in a big block of concrete, it tends to rot. But when the concrete is inside the bamboo, which I think in a way is the proper place for it, it makes for an incredibly strong footing. We have something in Bali that is such a pleasure. We have artisans. We have men that didn't go to technical school, didn't go to architecture school, but they grew up in the world of being able to carve a fish mouth and do almost anything with bamboo that we ask them to do. And the other thing that's so important in our world is pegs. Most of the bamboo structures, and it's not exclusive because there are bolted joints, are put together with beautiful bamboo pegs and a little glue. And the Balinese artisans are so at home with pegs. There is a very elegant peg that's being driven through a fish mouth on a joint. We use for the roof thatch. And thatch is, I guess, one of our original roofing materials. And people go, well, how long does it last? And it's true. It doesn't last forever. In fact, if it's not good thatch, it might have to be replaced in 8 or 10 years. If it's really good thatch and it's in a dry area and it's the right angle, it could last 12 or 15. But I always ask people, do you buy all the cheese you'll ever need to eat and put it in your refrigerator? If you did, it would be a sad day for the dairy farmers and the cheese makers. So our idea is that the thatch makers of Bali will have a job in 12 years and in 24 years and in 36 years. It also makes the buildings incredibly strong. There are tens of thousands of ties because each thatch bundle, it's called a lang-a-lang in Indonesian, is tied on with a bamboo tie. This is getting a little more complicated. You notice in the background there that most of the world is using bamboo scaffolding to build concrete buildings. We're using steel scaffolding to build bamboo buildings. And then things get even more complicated. Cynthia and I have been seriously building bamboo for 2 years. And when I look back and think that that first bridge, which I'm going to show you, went up 2 years ago, I'm very excited to think of where we'll be in 2 years. Bending bamboo is a great art. This art was brought to us by a mad German carpenter who moved to Colombia. And he's been practicing the art of bamboo. He's been to visit us many times in Bali, and he's brought to us incredible ideas. And this is one of them, how to get bamboo to become an arch. So this is the beginning of something that I really believe will change the world. And I know that someone back there is formulating a question, and the question is certainly in our minds. And it's called, and I'd like to address it now before we go any farther, it's called fire. And what we're developing in our buildings is not only internal sprinklers, but also roof sprinklers that will deal with a fire in the roof. Our buildings are primarily exclusively without walls, and most of them are one story, which makes even the most confused, no matter what direction they run, if someone yells fire, safe. The heart of school, which I'll show you, which is quite a big building, will have 6 covered slides coming from the 2nd and 3rd floor that will act like the ramps that they have on airplanes to evacuate people. So what I'm talking about here, and I don't want to make anyone unhappy, because the way things are is the way they are. And if all buildings 100 years ago were beautiful, they tell me they tore down all the ugly ones already. But we had to think of a new way of building, and it came from being in a beautiful place. It's called finding a place that moves your soul. Not necessarily the soul of a developer, not necessarily the soul of an investor, but finding a place that moves your soul as a builder. And when you find that place, the idea is to sit on it, to sleep on it if possible, to drink on it, to watch the moon come up, to watch the sun set from it. And out of that, you will dream. And as you dream, you draw. And we're lucky to have some people in our team that have the hands of angels. And when they draw, it really moves me. They have such incredible senses. And now, after 2 years, they have a very amazing sense of the material.